The drama surrounding Saul, Canelo Alvarez, and Edgar Berlanga didn't begin under the bright lights of Las Vegas. It had been building for weeks, simmering beneath predictions, bravado, and quiet confidence. But when the moment finally arrived inside the T-Mobile Arena, when the air itself seemed charged with anticipation, everything that had been whispered, debated, and imagined was about to collide in real time. The crowd roared as the fighters made their entrances, the atmosphere thick with electricity. Berlanga, undefeated and dangerous, carried himself like a man who believed this was his destiny. Across from him stood Canelo, the seasoned champion, the face of modern boxing, a man who had already conquered divisions, critics, and eras. This wasn't just a fight. It was a test of legitimacy, of legacy, of whether the rising storm could truly shake the foundation of an empire. From the opening bell, the contrast was immediate. Canelo moved with the calm precision of a veteran who had seen everything before. Berlanga, though cautious, carried an edge of urgency, as if he knew every second mattered against a fighter of this caliber. The early exchanges were measured, probing. Jabs snapped through the air, gloves thudded against guard and flesh, each man searching for rhythm, for weakness, for opportunity. Canelo's presence was suffocating in a way that didn't always show on the surface. He wasn't rushing, wasn't forcing chaos, he was calculating. Every step, every feint, every slight shift of his shoulders carried intention. Berlanga, for all his power, found himself reacting more than initiating. His eyes stayed locked on Canelo, but there was a tension there, a hesitation that only grows when you're facing someone who punishes mistakes with ruthless efficiency. As the rounds unfolded, the subtle control began to tilt more clearly in Canelo's favor. His jab, sharp and authoritative, dictated distance. His head movement made Berlanga's attempts look just a fraction off, just enough to miss cleanly. And when Canelo fired back, it wasn't wild, it was surgical. A 1-2 combination landed clean, and for a brief moment the crowd surged, sensing the shift. Then came the third round, the moment where tension snapped into chaos. It started almost quietly, a setup disguised as routine. Canelo measured with the jab, stepping just inside range. Berlanga tried to respond, but his timing betrayed him. And in that split second, Canelo unleashed it, a perfectly timed left hook. It wasn't wide or exaggerated, it was compact, devastating, and precise. The impact echoed, and suddenly Berlanga was on the canvas. The arena erupted. For Berlanga, it was unfamiliar territory. Only once before had he tasted the canvas, and now, against the sport's elite, it had happened again. As he rose, there was defiance in his posture, but also a realization. This was a different level entirely. Canelo didn't rush recklessly after the knockdown. That's what made it more dangerous. He stalked, patient, calculated. He understood that the damage had been done, and now it was about breaking Berlanga down piece by piece. The hooks to the body began to land, thudding against ribs and arms, draining energy, stealing breath. Berlanga tried to respond with power, swinging wide at times, hoping to catch lightning in a moment. But Canelo's defense absorbed or slipped much of it. And when Berlanga overcommitted, Canelo was there with counters, short, sharp punches that reminded everyone watching why he was considered one of the best in the world. By the middle rounds, the pattern had solidified. Berlanga was fighting, yes, there was no quitting in him, but he was being dissected. His back touched the ropes too often, his movement slowed, his reactions just a beat behind. Canelo, meanwhile, seemed to grow more comfortable, more confident, as if he were solving a puzzle he had already seen before. There were moments where Berlanga showed flashes of resilience, A combination here, a counter there, enough to remind the crowd that he was still dangerous. But each time he found a small opening, Canelo answered with something sharper, something cleaner. It was a constant reminder of the gap between promise and mastery. The bodywork became a story of its own. Canelo's punches to the midsection weren't always flashy, but they were relentless. Each one chipped away at Berlanga's stamina, his posture, his ability to fire back with the same force. You could see it in the subtle changes, the way Berlanga's guard dropped just a little, the way his feet slowed, the way his punches lost some of their snap. And yet he kept coming. That was perhaps the most compelling part of the fight. Berlanga refused to fold. Even as the rounds slipped away, even as the punishment accumulated, he pressed forward, searching for something, anything that could turn the tide. It wasn't enough to win rounds, but it was enough to earn respect. Canelo, for his part, remained disciplined. There was no desperation, no unnecessary risk. He controlled the pace, dictated the exchanges, and continued to land the more meaningful shots. It was a masterclass not just in offense, but in composure. As the fight moved into the later rounds, the dynamic shifted slightly. Berlanga, knowing time was running out, began to push harder. The exchanges became more frequent, more chaotic. For brief moments, the fight opened up, and the crowd responded to the increased action. But even in those exchanges, Canelo's experience showed. He picked his spots, landed the cleaner blows, and avoided the kind of mistakes that could change everything. There was even a moment of tension late in the fight, a reminder that boxing isn't just about skill, but about emotion. A clash, a questionable move, a spark of frustration. But Canelo answered not with words, but with punches, reasserting control in the only way that mattered. By the championship rounds, the outcome felt inevitable, though not without admiration for Berlanga's effort. He was still there, still throwing, still trying, but Canelo had taken him deep waters and proven round by round that he belonged at a different level. The final bell rang not with a shocking twist, but with a sense of clarity. Both fighters had given everything they had, but one had done so with a level of precision and control that left little doubt. When the scorecards were read, it confirmed what the fight had shown: a unanimous decision, clear, convincing, undeniable. And still, the reigning, defending, unified super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez. For Canelo, it was another chapter in an already remarkable career, another night where he demonstrated not just skill, but intelligence, patience, and an understanding of the sport that few can match. For Berlanga, it was a lesson, painful, yes, but valuable. A reminder that greatness isn't just about power or record, but about experience, adaptability, and the ability to evolve. As the crowd began to settle and the lights continued to shine, there was a sense that everyone had witnessed something important. Not just a fight, but a passing of knowledge, a measuring stick, a moment where ambition met reality. And in that collision, one man stood firm, unshaken, still at the top. Now the question lingers: what's next for both of them? Can Berlanga rebuild, refine, and return stronger after facing the very best? And how much longer can Canelo continue to dominate at this level, turning back every challenge that comes his way? Let me know what you think. Did this fight prove Canelo is still untouchable at super middleweight, or did Berlanga show enough to suggest a dangerous future ahead? Drop your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dive fight stories like this.